Hi. Hello. Hi, Ozzy. Hi, Burb. Hi, Appy. Hello. 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 Hi. Hello. Oh, I should undeafen myself. No. There we go. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. Sleepy. I'm not that sleepy. I want to play with the devil. Desperately. This time I'm gonna play the game. Did I miss stream last week because I was sleeping before my trip to B country? Yeah, I streamed on Sunday and Wednesday. So, 2 VODs of the Devil exist and are published now. No longer unpublished and forbidden. Now real. Professional? I am. I'm a consummate professional. How was your trip to B country, Burb? The fuck were you doing in B country with the bees? Having fun, I hope? Enjoying yourself? Bzz, bzz, I mean, yeah. It's true. And yeah. I've just eaten dinner. I had a burger. I was gonna cook something for myself, and then, I smelled fast food. My sister goes to school in B country, aka Utah. Oh! B country! The beehives. I understand. Yeah, I had 2 burgers for dinner tonight. We're the same person. This morning, I had a perfect egg and cheese sandwich because God loves me. I made 2 perfect fried eggs and had them with provolone and just salt and basil, and it was perfect. It's the perfect food. I was so happy to be enjoying my perfect food. What was I saying? Forgotten entirely. Well, it's fine. Oh, and then I went to class and I was like, I feel amazing. It's spring. It's temperate and beautiful. Did someone say "Here you go, boss"? I said "Here you go, boss" to myself. Every time I talk about food, I should go get into food. Oh, I should get into food. As in, like, cooking? It's enjoyable. I can make the perfect fried egg because I own a 1-egg pan. And a 1-egg pan is a perfect uni tool. It's so... All it does is cook 1 egg. You put a splash of olive oil in there. You get the burner on medium-low. Crack an egg into it. And put a cover on it. And then it makes 1 perfect fried egg over medium. I bit into this egg and cheese sandwich and it, like, hot yolk went over my fingers. And I was like, ow, but also, yum. I love eggs. I just have so many eggs. I've bought eggs, I know, it's a whole thing. Okay, it's 7 p.m. It's Morgan time. Open the chat on my phone, do the whole thing. Mobile live dashboard. Twitch always knows what I need, I say, skeptically. Show me Stream Manager. Show me chat. Yes, correct. Sounds so good. I know it does. It's very easy. It's just provolone and eggs with some basil. Okay. Here we fucking go. It's her. I'm happy for you like egg and cheeses. I don't, but I'm happy you enjoy it. You just don't know. Boys don't know this. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long. I don't know, what is a breakfast sandwich anyways? Egg? Cheese? I always liked this time of day. Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed... do we think I forgot her name, red hair POV character? Morgan likes egg and cheese sandwich? I think Morgan likes killing 6 women. Cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Heaven forbid a woman have hobbies sort of at her sandwiches, though. I think she eats fine. I think Morgan is neurotic enough that she, Morgan would. I did not mean to interpret it works. I think she's neurotic about many things. She's the kind of person who has, not a meal that she eats every day, but, 1 or 2 things that she knows is good, and she'll eat it. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Young. Just Miss is fine. Miss Young, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. Helen Young. Hi, Morgan. Born December 9th. Height 166 centimeters. Weight 59 kilograms. Blood type AB positive. Occupation. Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics. Likes red meat, flower gardens, and high thread counts. Dislikes working from home, shopping online, and waiting. Languages? Fluent in 3. Enjoys attending baseball games. Hidden talent? Getting children to stop crying. It's like how my family always has spaghetti on Mondays. My family always has Mexican on Fridays. Miss Young, you gotta start calling yourself doctor. You earned that fucking doctorate. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you. Though, I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did. But as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone. Morgan. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him? Trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative? He was great! But that must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need. I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over. And every person I speak to. Yes, the lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android? It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly? Got all the faces memorized? It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently. David asked you to take it? Sarah... yeah. I've been told that you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know that he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. There's Helen Young's DNA and fingerprints. No trace of any poison. Has Morgan admitted that this is her new daughter yet? No, she never will. I mean, she might, actually. I don't know. There's 4 more episodes to go. Really? Obviously. There aren't that many people David would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Young is his superior, on paper, if not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. Oh, did you figure out which piece of evidence had its text changed? Oh, right, I have to go check that. Glass of water. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Probably not. It's something from the parlor. That's from the kitchen. Not this one. You mean Helen Young? Anyway. I don't know. I have no idea. Ski spill? I got nothing. Not sure what's been changed. There was a patch just recently that changed the text referring to a piece of evidence, a key piece of evidence in this. In this case, in this episode. And I don't know what it is. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy, given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So, why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually, you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record opened. Through legal means, or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague of several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake? No. My reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night? Yes, at around 7:30 p.m. The building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly. He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call, in person? We had had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so So I visited, and he let me in, and we talked. About the good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Miss Young, putting a number on it, it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later... That he would be dead? That he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? 8:15, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down into his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. I like Young. Snatched waist, motherfucker. Snatched wrist! Look at this shit. Stick. We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No. I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocols summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with them to the hospital, I take it? Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So did David's, for all the good it did him. I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point. That waste isn't just snatched, it's stolen. But I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain that it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as the time passed, and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here. Said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Ashore to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David. No, I guess it doesn't. You said CCE Standard Operating Procedure a moment ago. What is that? CCE stands for Counter Corporate Espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense. You understand? So Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned. They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course. Usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops? Murder is fairly rare at our level. More likely, they'll want us too sick to work. Let us drain company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart. Like snipers purposefully avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible! Like snipers purposefully avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's nothing compared to when they want to turn an asset. feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady. Or become our mole and we'll send you the antidote once every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. It's a nasty line of work. Consulting. I'm sorry. That's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I've met at a cocktail party was actually... It depends. Did they say that they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting? How the hell am I supposed to remember? So, do your people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get to David for years, and that's the timescale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. CCE. Counter-corporate espionage, a playbook of aggressive defensive tactics for everything from public life to personal security, intended to help high-value members of a corporate body minimize risk to themselves and the company. Frequently it involves the use of double talk and coded language, including hiding the training as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. Individuals at or above David Ashore and Helen Young receive training in it multiple times a year. And they'd probably have struck first. I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups? There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time, under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice, our actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't either, back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating. The two of them made the one-point doctrine. That's not the story I've heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself. We had this deadline. Self-imposed, but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer, trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David, tell him that it's not going to happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. He looks at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We still got all night until his end of day." We wrapped up at 4 in the morning. Just us and the cleaning staff. Back then, only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message, and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping that the harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I'd been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, but together, David and I, we had finally gotten a win. So David asks if I've got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill at a cabinet at my desk, but he says he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. He says he wants to toast. You sound a little quiet. If you'd like, you can turn yourself up or dial down the music a bit. It's probably because I'm doing this damn voice. But I'll get closer to the mic. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. Toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor. That was our little ritual. David Assure and Helen Young started at Noble at the same time and position. They would often toast their hard-won victories with cheap liquor and plastic cups in commemoration of their first big win, convincing Noble Electronics to adopt what became known as the one-point doctrine approach to Android manufacturing, emphasizing quality over quantity. Cuties? Yes, they are. So I didn't think twice when you presented me with my cup. Okay, now saliva and fingerprints match Helen Young. Thank you. It was ceremony for us. As VP of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you? That's correct. Didn't you join the company at around the same time? David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing the corporate politics game. So, was he unpopular around here? Not unpopular, no. I like how Sarah's eyes glow through all the UI. I know. It's like... my murder bot. Not the great Dr. David Assure. Misunderstood, perhaps. How so? He could be blunt. Demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just... not everyone could work at the same pace as he did for as long as he did. Even with the whole company having those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David. Speaking of which, I don't see any at Young's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open, at her level. So, you would say that his work-life balance was... Balance implies the two were at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company. Fascinating! So was he in harmony? No. David always had plenty of suitors, but he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on that subject. Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. It's scandalous. The A16 only entered production this year, correct? Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday and we began shipping in the first quarter. I understand that you were instrumental in the success of Warm Androids. I played my part supervising the launch, yes. Weren't you the one who designed Cinetonin, the factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts? I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, Cinetonin was little more than a novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it. Took the reins. He was lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. And he designed the synthetic nerves that made all of that possible. David did all of that. That's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields? Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15? No. He used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon, he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas. And eventually, they came to follow his lead. Just like that. Just like that. So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments? That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Assure was. Maybe they weren't paying him enough. The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years. So this android, Sarah, even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems? I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet? No. He never gave me any indication like that. And if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself, and anyone below him, frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice. He never mentioned me? No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card? The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody. Not even David Ashore. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s. Just a figure of speech. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record. Sarah is just like me for real, by the way. You have a mailroom? But no one would deny Dr. David Ashore information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. No more mailroom, truly disappointing, I know. I don't understand it. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal. Except the hacking stuff. So why keep it secret? I don't know. But he was private, and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results. Could be. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Young's statements made to the police corroborated by security footage. Young arrived at 7:30 p.m. and arrived on camera until 8:03 p.m. Young spoke with David Ashore in his parlor before he left to retrieve liquor from his basement at 7:36 p.m. Upon returning at 7:40 p.m., the two of them continued speaking while they both drank from the plastic cups David Ashore brought up with him. David Ashore felt lethargic and disoriented shortly after 8 p.m. David Ashore lost consciousness at 8:03 p.m. EMS were called from the emergency console in the kitchen at 8:04 p.m. David Ashore and the witness were taken to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital at 8:08 p.m. Don't say that in front of her. I know. She's just a baby. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you. A difficult day for all of us. A message from Fran. I'm running out of leads to chase. The brat better have good news. Are you really going to take this to court? That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of. And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide? I guess I haven't decided what I believe. 4:21 p.m., July 1st, 2086. In transit. Would you kindly slow the hell down? I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I walking too quickly for you? That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different. Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like the Zhen Jiao? Just let me catch my breath for a minute. Adonai, is it possible that you are out of shape? No. But since we left the cab, your heart rate has... I'm not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes. Is that so? Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun's reaching its zenith. That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temp... You said it would be a short walk from street level, so I prepared myself, mentally, for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket, and you didn't mention we'd have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here? The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it. Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me someone from the city orchestra or a jazz club. The champagne flute and teacup kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of town. It should be in view if we turn... Anne and I, be careful. Of what? It's a stray, and it's bearing its fangs, too. It could be carrying diseases. You should... Relax. Anne and I, it's growling. It's not growling at me. See? So it's just me that it doesn't like... Too much static. How'd you get it to calm down? It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm. Do you like animals? What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals? Do you have a pet? No, never have. Why not? Because I don't want to take care of a pet. That seems counterintuitive to me. Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. But you notice you're only this talkative when it's the two of us. Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety? It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. Today, I have rarely been addressed directly by people other than you. In other words, you're shy. That is not what I... Can I try petting it? There's no law against it. 4:26 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Ultraviolets. This is the establishment. Now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims. Do you think Father was close with this man? Pay the dog petting fine? This man who you've never met? I think he was close with him, yeah. At some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night. So they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together? That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate? Anne and I, it's only I'm getting a very important text message from my private investigator. Excuse me! Did you catch the killer yet? No. What the hell? I sent you his position. I'm at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now. Lame. Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Ashore a corporate sellout in your eyes? Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Ashore gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect. That's almost sweet. I think. Ashore started out working in Cube. So in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like I don't know. As a kid, he built all his bricks by hand. Or something. You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies? Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. Sarah makes a little heart shape with her hands when her fingers are together. Yes, she does. It's adorable. I take it Cube is a programming language? What's special about it? Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically. But not Cube. You can look it up. But basically Cube was written for robotics and like machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines. Under the ocean. Middle of nowhere fields with zero signal service. So Cube had to be self-sufficient. How rugged. Where did Sure learn Cube anyway? It's older than dirt. It's from the 40s. I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something. Vague. Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family. And I never asked. What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai? Not telling. The stage for the challenge. Pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark, once you get past the bouncer. Alright, Cube. Search results for Cube. Code. Noun. A defunct mid-21st century programming language. Cube was a Tier 5 programming language commonly used in mid-21st century robotics. Intended to support robust behavior trees in low data stream environments, its design philosophy emphasized lean, goal-oriented learning that would not be reliant on the bloated libraries and always online API popularized in the 2030s. Roseau Fluff, real name unknown, first began working on Cube in 2044 as part of a student robotics project. Cube 0.9 released in 2045. By 2048, Cube 3.1 had already found itself embedded in robotics engineering across the globe. Despite having what is considered a relatively high barrier to entry in user knowledge and execution, Cube gained widespread popularity, particularly among disaffected communities in third world countries where internet access would remain unreliable for the next 2 decades as regional conflicts would continue. Infamously, Contrafighter engineers utilized Cube during the 27-day siege to seize mechanized weapons from peacekeeping forces in a cyber warfare operation that is frequently cited as the key reason as to why the siege lasted as long as it did. Cube has not been developer supported since 2063 and is considered a defunct programming language. Because much of its documentation was never ported from the old net and due to its incompatibility with tenets, there is little to no corporate interest in the ongoing grassroots digital archaeology effort to archive it. Big sippy. Do you think they might have met here? David and Porter? I can't see David working in here. Because he found the walk so challenging? Because it's too loud to relax, and not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You got an opinion to share? The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite... I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like? Early 21st century punk rock. Is that just you, or does that go for all androids? I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they'd say the music peaked with early 21st century punk rock. Debate settled. Anything else in here? A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste and the gap between chewing and swallowing. So you can, like, eat things? Yes, I can. What, like android food? There is no such product. So what do androids eat? Online user guides for Noble Swarm models clarified that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes. Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drinks and energy bars. And charger separation anxiety. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets if they need to forgo electrical charging long-term. Processed pellets? You mean like kibble? Like dog food? No, it is not like dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? It seems that you can. How is this something you have to look up anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef. Never hydroponic avocados. Foie gras. Never hydroponic food sourcing. Never hydroponic is a movement calling for sourcing food exclusively from farms utilizing natural sunlight. Lobbyists for this movement have made unsubstantiated claims about superior taste or nutritional value, but the label is yet to receive official state recognition, and thus the presence of the term, or terms like it, on food packaging carries no weight and is not backed by any legal guarantee. One of a number of food sourcing movements that arose in the latter half of the 21st century as rising sea levels reduced the total amount of arable land around the world and shifted the global agricultural industry towards hydroponics and vertical farms. Rural skyscrapers, where each floor is utilized for food production, saving on real estate costs and reducing the impact of unstable weather on agricultural output. That sort of thing. I am not paying for any of that. Anything else, or do I just have to talk to this suspiciously highlighted bitch? Okay. That one over there. He matches the photo Fran sent. Should I approach now or look around some more? Okay, yeah, that's him, alright. Looks like he's killing time before his sets tonight. Hey, girl! Sorry. Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai? I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me, Isaac Porter. What's up? My name's Morgan. I was David's friend. Right now I'm his lawyer. Can we talk? Depends. Were you a friend from work? No. Over here. Thanks, Isaac. Isaac Porter, very hot. Date of birth, September 18th. Height, 183 centimeters. Weight, 86 kilograms. Blood type B positive. Occupation, musician, bassist. Likes itineraries, grilling, champagne. Dislikes resistance training, producers, ads. The best at gift giving. The worst at folding laundry. Favorite quote, I don't do requests. Don't thank me yet. Might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So, what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend? I'm his defense attorney. I think you missed the bus on that then, yeah? And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks. You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before he died. How the hell? Isaac, it's pretty obvious that you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary, so why don't we cut to the chase? No lies, no playing coy. Fine. Sarah? Yes, Adonai? The hell? Something transmitting? I am not streaming any data, no. reporter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court. Fine. You two were together. Is that correct? We were together. I ended it. Yesterday. Care to elaborate? On our entire relationship? Look, you can tell me everything once, and I can get it on record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months. We met in a bar. I'd seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth, but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off. Scribbled on napkins and let his single gin and tonic sweat into the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes. And he'd still sit there the rest of the night, unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night, things were slow, my set had been canceled, and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he insisted on coming there night after night, just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. He just said, because I like your music. Man, that ticked me off. It was cute, early on. Him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever. Until? There was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point, I started to understand where his priorities were, and how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed that he would also be that passionate about me, at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd missed me. Testing him. I like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset, he'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. I could treat you right. It was my mistake. And I watched him sit there all those nights not giving a shit when people walked away, and I had this stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. That I would be special. But I wasn't. So I ended up. Last night, I called him. Didn't expect he'd pick up. I had everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or ad or whatever. But he answered. First ring. Without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. That ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he had made me feel the past few months. I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Ashore. And what did he say? He apologized. And then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him. Woof. I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain for him and his coldness. He'd made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning, I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. The hell, man? The hell, David? And now you're just the tip of an iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Ashore over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline, the straw that broke his back. I just want to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking for too much. It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide. You serious? You don't have all the facts. And you do? Any one of them point to anything else? Thought so. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it. That's it? No summons? The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that. The court, huh? Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive. Yeah, thanks. And your range is remarkable. So it pained me to see that all your works in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think... Well, what the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the words? Need to steal them from somewhere first? Butcher them before shitting them back out? I was not trained on any data sets that... Nah, pardon me. My mistake, really. Not your fault you're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century. Sarah, we're leaving. What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a massive automated learning model and early 21st century... Not that. Why'd you talk to him? I just felt that I should say something to him. A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just... corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai? Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on. There's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide... There's only one place I could find it at this point. 5:16 a.m. July 1st, 2086. PM. Noble Employing Housing, build it. Platea. What did I just say? Noble Employing Housing, bin it. No, yeah, that's fair of him. I mean, it's really mean and a Sarah like your hurts, but also as an artist from the perspective of someone who doesn't know what's up with Sarah. Yeah. Penthouse basement. The basement. You sure you don't want another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive. Flip the chessboard and all that. Haven't you ever read a mystery novel? I've seen mystery films. Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Ashore? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Now, how did that poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. The looker. Sorry, sip. Big sippy. And if he had inhaled it? Inhaled it? Why? Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering my question. I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right. An airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area. And no one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we're left is oral intake. Eliminating the impossible. They're hitting the thinker. What's next, Adonai? Young's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. And the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup. The results were inconclusive. Young was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude, then, that David's cup alone was poisoned. That all seems logical and consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0? David left the parlor and came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Young told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So we have to conclude, then, that he got them both from this bar. Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? The thinker. The police have been in here since we left. According to their ARCS file, they didn't find anything that matches that poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup, then. I need to flip this around again. If you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back. If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So, if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes, and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But Adonai, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. I think there are. What do you mean? This whole building is coated head to toe in Penumbra security systems courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on every floor is all plugged in to Penumbra. Except that. That panel is manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse? I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. You mean signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before? It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purposes of record keeping, yes. If you have gotten past the 64-digit code, and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorized, they are on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to, if not the Penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. A false wall in the back of a safe. Enjoy hijacking security systems. Yay! I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have hidden a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me! He was brilliant, and more than a little odd. throw in a little money, and odd becomes eccentric. I see. I think. I don't. The hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... Time's short. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. Okay. So is that the original? It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see? I see a meeting. Or perhaps an encounter? Two apex forces of nature. Two kings of the forest. The stag and the tiger. I think. Great. I'm officially less cultured than the robot. The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. No poison to be found here. Well, not that kind of poison anyway. In which case... Can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have... Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever? Technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up. Maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder. This is a rolling ladder. A kind of step ladder. Not a ladder. Nice Ace Attorney joke. I knew about this one already, but it still amuses me. What? Remember? A ladder extends, but a stepladder folds out. And? It's important to know the distinction. I'd bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again. Ever. And you would lose it all, Morgan. That's a running bit. What did David even do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising? Did you ever see him use any of this crap? No, but he must have used the weights while I wasn't looking, since he promised me that he'd take better care of his health. Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like these, even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure, Adonai. Pardon? The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the Global Donka Bank on Fredericksburg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings, but the man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twisted knot with his massive, dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller had only this to say: that man was all muscle. The rest of the bank heist proceeds without interest, and the man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene, when suddenly, his suitcase explodes! But it's just a smokescreen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money, with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality. And so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say a man like Father can't do, just because of how he looks on the outside. Sarah, every single word you just said was false. Huh? Don't believe everything you read on the net. Thanks. What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack must have just been created during my most recent hibernation. How? Did David drop a weight? A bunch of times, over and over in the same spot? Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially, though a bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Got it open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It is a Tethys Basic Sturdicure. That anti-hack feature in the name is real? It's a closed system, Adonai. Hell am I supposed to do now? Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters. I don't follow. When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open as long as I was hibernating. And he made it so that I was the only one who could wake her up. Meaning, this is a door that only I can open? It'll be a 6-character password, some combination of numbers or letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word? My name is Morgan. Nothing comes to mind. Is there a code word that he knew only I could learn? M-O-R... Is that your name you just tried? It's 6 characters, isn't it? Yes, but it's not exactly secure, Adonai. Anyone who knew you and Father were close could have tried guessing it. Was there some word that only the two of you knew? A nickname? Pretty much everyone just calls me Morgan. But not every... Yes, I get it. I understand. It's opening. What's the password, Adonai? You'd never guess. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. And I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here and it all makes sense. It's a panic room. Scary. A panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints. So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all of this. But I'm gonna take another sip. I need to stop doing such nasally voices. It's bad for my ability to talk. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visuals, sounds, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human, and some canines. So, does it smell stale in here to you? Stale? It doesn't to me. Almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console is password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton android, and a secret phrase. If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. You're looking for camera footage? I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for video files. They'll probably be time-stamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. The most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday, at around 4 p.m. You were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at that time was David himself. Alright, let's see it then. Of course. It's just that I am having difficulty. Try double-clicking? I have been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, Adonai. But they are encrypted. Damn it, David. You leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me use your computer? What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Shit. If David Ashore hand-wrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could... Hey, was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special? Adonai, Can you break his encryption, yes or no? With enough time? And how much time would that be? I would estimate it at 2 to 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window! No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still just a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially. Which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes, so long as the work required is rote. So you're doing it in the back of your head? Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could give the decryption process my full, undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery? I have copied the encrypted files and will work on them as we travel. We can leave whenever you're ready. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far. And the computer's not the only thing in here. The cabinets are a little less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds and holdings, a platinum bar. His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Ashore's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. Noble's logo on the front, and in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. And they're masking in legalese, even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. A binder containing the full text of David Ashore's employment contract with Noble Electronics. Details compensation, grounds for dismissal, definitions for what constitutes a breach of contract, and how arbitrations will be handled. Not a light read. Hold on to this for me. It must be very important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy. Was there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up? It is a possibility, isn't it? Why are you keeping your employment contract in your binder? You have to take it out every time to wear it. Yeah, it's funny. Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries. There is something else. Your papers. that Evangeline Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah. It's dated to a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, where'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Well, at least we've got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. A written document declaring that Evangeline Morgan is to be given absolute ownership of the android Sarah, effective immediately. Signed and dated by David Ashore over 2 weeks ago. A tax-free transaction, fortunately. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. Shout out to not paying taxes. I need to file my taxes. Burb. April is coming. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are. But Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings. Unless I had something like this. It's good that you do then. I'm glad that Father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah. This will get me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying. All colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. You can cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. There's an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. But I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Adonai. "5:48 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Back to driving. Does it excite you? Going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel the fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses? Do you really think this is gonna be some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? Probably not. Though that would be nice if it were. What's your deal, anyway? Did David train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something? We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking, though he was rarely the one who suggested it. So you were the aggressor. But what's an android get out of watching a flick, anyway? What do I get? Why do you do it? What's your reason? I'm not sure how to answer your question. Never mind. Forgot what I was talking to. I like the performances. Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something? He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. The truth is, besides Father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I hadn't noticed. I read the net, and I watch people, and what they share of their lives. But it's also subtle, so hard to follow. There are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're also complex, so detailed. But the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate, their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction. So these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and end. And the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You can just watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure, back when I was a kid. Really? Who was your favorite director? What was your favorite film? It was a long time ago. I don't remember. 6:05 p.m., July 1st, 2086. State Building. Floor 48. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse. Though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers, all-encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues, with a couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead, or that he'd thrust an android onto my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain, loudly, of course, but I don't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered in my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? It must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide, and I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I am making progress. Well, shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it would be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of a completion percent. Give it your best shot anyway. 4%. Are you feeling confident in your case? Markedly less so after hearing that. Do you think the judge will be amenable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjutants are always a coin flip, so... You do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and gavel when we get in there? Like from Ace Attorney? Should I not? Adjutants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails. Adjutants, commercial name for automated dependent judicial models, are automated dependents that preside over trials for the state. While most adjutants are designed and sold as software and then loaded onto courthouse-specific hardware, including android bodies, they can interpret trial proceedings and render judgment based entirely on stenographer records if need be, ruling on cases in an entirely digital capacity. Yes, girl, you're glowing, I see that. Reviews of adjutants by third parties has shown that they are overwhelmingly more equitable and even-handed in their sentencing than human judges. Because they cannot be bribed or intimidated, adjutants are especially preferred for cases involving organized crime or corporate misconduct. Adjutants use a ninefold personality engram for rendering their judgments and building consensus, known as the nonary system among software engineers. I wish it was nonary so bad. Because each of these 9 personas are constructed by a different think tank or institution from across the political spectrum, ideological contamination in adjutant units is practically impossible. Big sippy. There have been a small number of reported cases where nonary processing has borne particularly enthusiastic or eccentric personas, presumably in an unorthodox, if not effective, attempt to reconcile particularly disparate opinions across their 9 constituent personalities with a single, authoritative, loud voice. It's like in the hit video game, Zero Escape, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. I know! With the state's court backlog essentially cleared for the past half-decade, questions arose as to the continued need for adjutants to lighten the judicial system's human resource burden, but Senate Investigative Committee 74JD91 determined that removing adjutants from the legal system would be prohibitively expensive at this point. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in court requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm. So, androids are used to reduce caseload? Been that way for decades. But how is a law that replaced judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions? Stalling? Judges did fight it for years, at every level and in every theater. But the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants. And it's not controversial, having machines determine sentencing for human beings? Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high-profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week. And that's not rushing things? Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I'm just surprised to hear that there's so much haste. Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick. I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Why aren't they used in politics? That's a logical question to ask. And the answer is that logic only gets you so far when it comes to people. Doesn't everyone want the courts to be as just as possible? If adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible, everyone wants justice, sure. But there are other considerations to be had. Such as disgust. What? That's what people really care about, what all their morals boil down to. Just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras, and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. I don't understand. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem. Hello? Okay. 6:24 p.m., July 1st, 2086. Courtroom 48D. Hey. Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You wouldn't know it from the look on her face. But I shouldn't have expected any leeway once we step into the courtroom. Ivy? Yes? Emma-themed phone? Yes, you're right, thank you. Emma. God, I wish I had the rose gold phone case. Fucking 5, you liar. Emma. This is girly? Yes, it is. Let me go get some more water before the trial starts. Everyone look at Emma. Ah, the universal, undeniable homoerotic tension between a prosecutor and a defense attorney. So these things go. Their homopsychic connection. Their psychosexual connection. Emma-themed phone. And fresh bottle of water. Not with her. And that's the adjutant up there. Is it asleep? It's loading. Hey, it's Blind Justice. It needs to load? Don't be rude. Not every ad can afford to be as decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those the state buys in bulk. There's an audience. You mean the gallery? That's nothing. It could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Ashore's death must have spread like wildfire, even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press, but uniformed officers had little to lose and a lot to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. And then there's the corporate plants. Interns, usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside a courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are gonna get out one way or another. I don't like having my face on camera. I don't like attention in general. But I'm not such a coward that I'd skip David's funeral just because there'd be paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness was gonna end up in the background of some tabloid photograph one way or another by the end of this circus. At least this way, it's decent marketing for my legal services. What will happen once the adjutant finishes loading? How will the trial proceed? With all those films you watch, I'd figure that you could extrapolate. I am asking so as to correct any misconceptions. Well, not everything you saw on the silver screen is outdated. The court will come to order. There will be a clarification of the charges. The defense enters a plea, and if it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case. That means calling witnesses to the stand, correct? Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Depends on the security concerns surrounding the particular individual and the case. What do you do then? Sit here and watch? Not if I want to get paid. I cross-examine witnesses after the prosecution are done questioning them. I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response, as long as I have discovery backing me. You've said that before. Discovery means... just that I can't pull stuff out of my pockets and present it without any kind of context. I have to have proof that I acquired it legally, during the course of my investigation. Most of the time, that means having recordings or witnesses that can verify my investigation. Which I can provide. You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you? And the jury? I don't see where they would sit. The jury hasn't sat in the actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch a feed of the trial's proceedings in anonymity. And that's not an issue? Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them? I love the design of this android judge. It's so good. You've got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? But there's no jury at a preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution has enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never any shortage of evidence to begin with, to work with. So, all you have to do today is convince the adjutant? Easier said than done. Adjutants lean heavily towards evidence over arguments. So much fun to see a judge that isn't an old white guy with a beard. And right now, all the evidence suggests that David killed himself. If it's going to be an uphill battle, I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternate interpretation of the facts, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect, or even a motive for killing David. Yet. Anyway, I'll need to be sharp. Emma doesn't play nice enough for me to be anything less. I think it's waking up. This third lower court is now in session. Adjutant AD 84 presiding. I call to order the case of the people versus Ashore. Do the people wish to make an opening statement? No, Your Honor. No point in bothering when it's just the adjutant here. Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement? Not at this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get this shit show started. If neither the people nor the defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage. My model name is Adjutant. My unit designation code is AD-84. I am a machine, an automated dependent, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. You might find yourself wondering, why? What gives a machine the right to judge a human? A fair question, but the answer is simple. In every culture, in every society, no matter how it is worshipped, enshrined, or deified, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Like a balanced equation, like the golden ratio, like the Vitruvian man. Justice is beautiful. So, what gives me the right? This gorgeous bod! Whatever. Forget it. Forget I said anything. I was trying to lighten the mood, but I can see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me. They're guilty. Or whatever. 80. Date of birth, September 2nd. Height, 263 centimeters. Weight, 299 kilograms. Blood type? Occupation, automated dependent, adjutant. Likes raw salmon, running water, gymnastics. Dislikes criminals, contrarians, pigeons. Sign, Libra. Self-assigned. Type, open, obedient, observant, O people. 3 sizes, 109B, 64W, 94H. Your Honor. Wait, what the flip? This defendant's already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this a debug thing? Because I'll log the error if I need to. No, Your Honor, this is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Ashore did, in fact, commit suicide, as he... Hello, I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone. I didn't realize that adjutants were so lively. They aren't. They're supposed to be austere and statuesque. Looks like we got served the most in need of repairs adjutant the court system could find. Whatever paper pusher we rushed to get this trial going must have wanted a little payback for the kindness. What's that look for? Could it be you're trying to size me up? Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor. Good, because if you have doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always just enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you'd find my ruling to be fair and even-handed. That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there, even counting all the flesh and blood judges I've met. But she's still just an adjutant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So, as long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outburst from the bench, my plan's still workable. So, people, shall we get started with that first witness? Right away, Your Honor. The people call Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand. It's Yumi. Hey. So how about it, pretty lady? You swear to tell the whole and unadulterated truth to the best of your ability? I do. Good enough for me. Dr. Sato, you were in charge of the autopsy for David Ashore, were you not? I was. And when did you make your examination? I started last night. Well, technically, 1 a.m. would be very early this morning. I think you can still say last night if you're talking about 1 in the morning. Objection! The defense will have their opportunity to cross-examine. Until then, they should refrain from making errant remarks. The hell? All I said was... Yeah, what she said. You mean sustained? Don't get cute with me, counselor. No, my ship. Being cute is my job. God damn, barely gotten started. That seemed pretty bad, Adonai. Blind -1. No. Halt. Heads up. Making mistakes will increase your blind. Blind is how much credit you'll lose for answering incorrectly when you yourself aren't controlling the ante. Blind increments on its own throughout the trial as the stakes get higher, but resets at the end of each day. Blind starts at and caps out at a higher number if you're playing in High Roller. Mind the blind number in the top left when it appears. It helps you gauge what you stand to lose. Can I have this? This is cute. Can I have this? Morgan! It's Morgan time! Heart, 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 heart. It's Morgan. Sorry. We should try to avoid being penalized in the future. You may not know. Why? Thanks for the tip. Was card set on their merch pole? God, I don't know. I don't know. They're just making acrylic charms. I love acrylic charms, but, like, I don't really buy them. Shake it off. I'll get my chance to raise objections of my own soon enough. Dr. Sato, were you able to determine the cause of death? He passed away due to respiratory failure. Could you explain what that means to the court? Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. It seems by the time he arrived at the hospital, he was no longer breathing. What does respiratory failure look like? What are the symptoms? There would be lightheadedness, dizziness, fainting, pale skin, and a bluish tinge around certain extremities. And the condition he was in matched those symptoms? Correct. In your experience, what are the most common causes of respiratory failure? It can be caused by injury or disease, but the subject had no wounds or reported illnesses and otherwise appeared to be perfectly healthy. And what else could cause respiratory failure then? It is also commonly seen in fatal drug overdoses. Drug overdoses. Did you perform a tox screen on Dr. Ashore? Yes, but his tox screen came back clean. Whatever killed him, it wasn't something we've encountered before. Wait, a clean tox screen? Clean? dialogue will proceed automatically during testimony, but you can still advance text faster if you want with space or left mouse. You'll need to read carefully and wait for the witness to make a statement that sounds wrong. Then hit the call button to call their bluff. Testimony will keep repeating from the beginning until you call. Yeah! Sorry. I like this image so much. They should let me have it. Am I gonna get to see this again later? Look at how... Sorry. But, like, look at how cute she is. Can't let this chance slip by. I need to catch her mistake the second it comes out of her mouth. Whiskey, David's contract, a bright cup. Suspect passed away due to respiratory failure. Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. He would have experienced lightheadedness, dizziness, and fainting. As the subject was healthy, their respiratory failure must be attributed to a drug overdose. When a tox screen was run at the hospital, it came back clean. After choosing to call on a statement, you need to respond with evidence. Hover over the 3 cards that show up, and left-click to make your choice before the timer runs out. Wanna bet? It's impossible for David Assure's tox screen to be clean, and we all know it. Since he was on camera drinking alcohol the night that he died. 3! Ah! That makes sense. And that scared you? The witness merely misspoke, Your Honor. As it plainly states on the tox report itself, Dr. Assure did have alcohol in his blood, but not at such a concentration as to be lethal. Yeah, my bad. When I said the tox stream was clean, I just meant it didn't tell the attending physicians anything they didn't already know. Overall, a little more nitpicky than I'd like to be, but at least I was able to balance the momentum, more or less. Shall we continue, Dr. Sato? If the tox screens were negative for pharmaceuticals and drugs, what caused Dr. Assure's respiratory failure? During my autopsy, I analyzed his blood and was able to isolate a foreign compound. So there was a lethal dose of a drug inside his body. It just happened to be a drug that the hospital had never encountered before. That's correct. I think we're all going to get tired pretty fast if we don't at least pick a placeholder name for this substance, Your Honor. The people don't object, Your Honor. In that case, I'll put all my creative heuristics to work, coming up with an original, scientific, fitting name for this substance. A name like Omega 3! That name is already taken. Fine, call it Delta, or whatever. Delta. Used in science to denote an unknown variable. Not bad. Delta has other meanings when it comes to drugs, but yeah, our Delta matches no known public pharmacology or toxicology records. That being said, chemically, it does have all the hallmarks of a general depressant. I know the feeling. So, it stands to reason that it would exhibit a similar effect on the body when ingested. You say ingested. Why? I eliminated all other possibilities during my examination of the body. He must have swallowed it, and judging from his stomach contents, it must have been a liquid. Thank you, Dr. Sato. Shall I summarize things for the court? Yes, please. I wasn't listening that closely. The victim died of respiratory failure. And his tox screens showed that his blood was clear of anything that could cause respiratory failure, except for this unknown substance, the poison we've labeled Delta. Well, that sounds like a textbook suicide. Should we wrap it up here? Not quite yet, Your Honor. This may clearly be a poisoning, but there's at least one detail about this case that doesn't feel like a suicide at all. It's a classic suicide! Died from respiratory failure, drank with David before he died, didn't seem to add anything from my footage. Negative for poison. Has to be Young's testimony in that case. Because others don't make sense. The people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. There's nothing textbook about a supposed suicide that had a witness sitting there watching it happen. As you say. Well, now I'm lost. Was this poisoning a suicide or not? If that's the case, then perhaps we should give the defense the opportunity to cross-examine. Unless they're going to insist on testifying themselves. How kind of you to offer! Ball's in my court now, so how do I counter? Emma's argument basically goes as follows. David ingested the Delta knowingly, and the Delta caused his respiratory failure. He died of respiratory failure. Thus, David committed suicide. During Blackjack, every piece of information you learn deals you a card. Choose only the questions that are logical and relevant, and only press if you think a line of questioning is worth continuing. Or else you'll go bust and lose credit. Fuck this video game. I'm definitely not used to don't press, given I'm from Ace Attorney. However, press to see what the follow-up question would be. You can only win Blackjack when you reach exactly 21. So don't press further if you're already there. And don't ask the wrong questions. With my cross-examination, I need to put a microscope over the weakest part of that argument. I know who would adore this. It's Brucey, not here. But I'll bother them to watch this VOD later. Fuck Blackjack. Busting makes me feel bad, actually. And hope that some cracks will appear under pressure. Dr. Sato, you were only able to even identify the presence of this Delta after hours of work. Can you really be sure that this never-before-seen chemical can cause respiratory failure? Well, I have had time to run simulations, and they do give every indication that it would act as a depressant. In just enough of any depressant, respiratory failure would occur. Only simulations? Stay. You sure it was ingested? Dr. Sato, you said that the subject had to have ingested the Delta orally. But how sure can we actually be about that? Pretty sure? I mean, I could go into detail about all the cavities that I checked, but... Was it knowingly ingested? But how sure can we be that the subject ingested the Delta knowingly? Well, we can't be sure of that. Certainly not just from an autopsy. You said it must have been a liquid, yes? Would it have been a large amount? It depends on the concentration of the delivery solution. Could have been just a drop. The kind of thing that could easily go unnoticed, yes? Calls for speculation, Your Honor? Withdrawn. Oh, man. I wanted to jump on her case. Sure it was respiratory failure? Isn't it possible they actually died from something other than respiratory failure? No, not really. Fuck! I didn't know I wasn't supposed to ask the questions! You could argue or speculate about what caused the respiratory failure, but... I jump on her case till she busts. Ew! But it is, in fact, a fact that he died because his heart and lungs stopped working. Right. Thank you for that. You've ran simulations? So you haven't tested Delta on an actual person? No, I haven't. That'd be very difficult to do, given our extremely limited sample. Not to mention, highly unethical. Of course. But without such a test, you don't actually know for sure that Delta can cause any of the symptoms you've described. Was there a question in that statement, Counselor? You don't actually know for sure, do you? No, not yet anyway. Flash's first fuck blackjack moment, yeah. Seems like that's... I just assumed that you only had to ask one follow-up question and just get the initial cards from the rest of them. I was wrong. Blackjack. Thank you for your time, Dr. Sato. We all appreciate it. But it does seem like we're still in the dark about many details regarding Dr. Ashore's death, wouldn't you say? Well, poisoning via the compound we're calling Delta is still the most likely explanation. So there are other explanations for what happened. Defense is calling for speculation, Your Honor. It's not speculation when a medical examiner is attempting to explain the cause of death, Your Honor. The witness will answer the question. Well, respiratory failure can be caused by illnesses. If he had undiagnosed pneumonia or some other disease, and his respiratory system was weakened. Undiagnosed pneumonia? With his level of healthcare? It is technically possible. I'll take it. I have no more questions for this witness. Ugh, I felt weak. I can't be picky when I'm stalling for time. Seeding doubt whatever I can, however I can, is just about all I can manage. Big sippy. Him. Detective Reyes, you were one of the leads in investigating this crime scene. Yes, ma'am. And did you interview the EMTs who first arrived on the scene? I did. They responded to an emergency signal from the home security console located in the kitchen. What did they find when they arrived on the scene? The victim was unconscious on the floor of his parlor. He was receiving CPR from a witness, the individual who had called them. They were both airlifted to Gatesfield Memorial Hospital, and Dr. Ashore was declared dead shortly after arriving there. She's actually handling herself pretty well up on the stand. I half expected her to roll her eyes during the swearing in. But when you take into consideration her love for boot heel authority, she might be right at home here in the courtroom, the very seat of the state's power over the people. The witness met with the deceased about a half hour before he fell ill, from 7:30 to 8 p.m. The two of them talked for some time and shared a drink. Shortly after, Dr. Ashore became distracted, lightheaded, and eventually non-responsive. And during the same time period, drinking the same liquor, this witness exhibited no symptoms themselves. None. Through a collaborative effort with Noble Electronic Security Division, we searched the entire building. We found nothing unusual in any of the food or drink on the premises, including the bottle the witness and the deceased drank from. So, what was your ultimate conclusion after investigating the scene? The whiskey bottle was clean, the witness's drink was clean. Only person who got sick was Dr. Ashore, drinking from a cup that he had prepared. So it was our determination that Dr. Ashore committed suicide by poisoning himself. She's pretty tight-lipped up there, but I think she slipped up at least once. The police want to claim that they've eliminated every other possibility and covered every angle. But I know that there are a number of blind spots that they're not willing to admit to. Upright cup. David's cup. Poison. Met with Williams at 7:30 p.m. By 8 he was dead. Not strictly true, but fine. He used one to repair their drinks. Yes, true. And there was no opportunity for the witness to ever slip him something. He drank from a cup that he himself poisoned. Seems pretty cut and dry if you ask me. Okay. No opportunity for the witness to slip him something is what it is. Just be sure we scan the kitchen, the lab, the basement. Oh, okay. And there was no poison anywhere else. Sure. Toxicology is proved inconclusive. Found in the bloodstream. No additional traces found anywhere on the crime scene or in David's penthouse. No traces of foreign elements. Well, is it can't slip him something, or is it... Is something about his cut being inconclusive? Okay. Let's see it again. Yeah. Should be fun. True. Strictly true. Yes, strictly true. No opportunity for the witness to ever slip him something. Okay. Drank from a cup that he himself poisoned. Maybe? Seems pretty cut and dry. Just be sure we scan the kitchen, the lab, the basement. No poison anywhere else. A cup that he himself poisoned. Pick a card. Any card. This is a cute CG. I didn't look at this before. Oh shit! I forgot about the timer! Lost your train of thought. Let me find it for you. No! I lose 6 chips for that! Bitch! I was just admiring! No! My money! Tested inconclusive. I mean, I wasn't gonna get a perfect trial anyway, but, like, sad. You can't make that claim. Not when the evidence record clearly shows that tests of Dr. Ashore's cup were inconclusive. No time for admiring. You're busy doing a court case, I guess. There's plenty of time for admiring. Emma! The police can't claim he drank from a poisoned cup without first proving that his cup was, in fact, poisoned. You're talking a lot of sense, lady. Does it resolve? Or do you have a response, D.A. Rockford? Testing on the deceased cup has been inconclusive so far, Your Honor. I don't dispute that. While it's chips, it's still the house's money. True. While it's still Ricci sticks, you can't say they're yours. Though I'd be surprised if the defense has any idea how else the poison could have possibly been delivered to Dr. Ashore alone. Not at this time, but that's the funny thing about the burden of proof. It's not on the defense, as we're all aware. Right, we all knew that. I definitely knew that. Now, if the people are done bemoaning that pesky innocent until proven guilty issue, perhaps I could begin my shitty little blackjack minigame? Fire away, baby! Fire away? Baby? Ray's testimony is meant to show that David's the only one who could have poisoned himself. she'll be on guard and hard set against helping me. But if I keep her focus on eliminating other possibilities, I could get her to make my point for me before she even realizes what's happened. Ever seen poisoning himself? Detective, we've been doing a lot of assuming and reasoning in quick succession, so I'll ask this plainly for the court. Is there any photographic evidence showing David Ashore adding anything to his drink that night? No. Seems you'd already poured for the both of them by the time you returned to the parlor. He had already poured. In that case, the next questions need to be when and what. Could even poison off camera? Detective, isn't it possible that Dr. Ashore was poisoned off camera? Possible? I don't know how else it would have been done. But that just goes to show it had to have been suicide. The only time he was off camera, he was all by— Fuck you! Shit, that's not where I wanted to lead the conversation. It might certainly seem that way, yes. Detective Reyes, during the course of your investigation, did you find any samples of Delta in the kitchen or parlor? No. That was a fast answer. Get busted, idiot. I'm very smart. Well, it was a pretty easy question. If we'd found poison at the scene of the crime, that'd be pretty important, don't you think? What about in his lab? His bedroom? His basement? No, no, and no. We didn't find Delta or any other unusual substance in any part of his penthouse. Right. They never found any poison. No poison at all. It's not a fucking poison container. Anyone else in the building? The only people you saw on the cameras that night were Dr. Ashore and this witness, correct? Yep. No footage in the house of anyone else. Are there any parts of the house that aren't recorded by camera? Sure. There are a number of rooms in the home's interior that don't have cameras in them. So it's possible that there were other people there that night because cameras weren't watching every room. No, that's not possible. The only way up to the penthouse is through the building's elevator or the fire escape stairs, both of which are on camera. And that still wouldn't get you past his front door, which is also on camera. No one besides the two of them was there that day. And if they had been there before yesterday, then we would have seen them leave again through the— Fuck yeah! We would have found them during the course of our investigation of the house. Your Honor, I believe we've exhausted this particular line of questioning. Not that exhausted, goddammit. Fine, I guess it has to be poison containers. That's stupid. At any point in the investigation, was poison found on the body of the deceased? No. He must have been searched. Did he have any capsules or vials? Eyedroppers? Didn't even have his wallet on him. Why? Thank you for enlightening the court about this point, Detective. What point? Well, I think it's strange, don't you, Detective? I mean, how could he have possibly poisoned himself without first procuring some poison? Fuck blackjack. What do you mean procure? Where did it come from, Detective? The poison that you're so sure was dissolved in his drink? It can't have come from thin air, you understand. It had to have been in another container at some point. Whatever it was in before, it probably evaporated. All of it? It only took a small droplet to kill. Your Honor, are you gonna ask them to keep it civil? In a minute, sure. There wasn't any pill bottle in his bathroom or syringe in his pocket containing this apparently deadly substance. So how did he get it? What did he keep it in? The police want to claim that David Ashore committed suicide because they've established that his guest never had an opportunity to kill him. But they failed to prove that the victim had the means to kill himself. And I guess I'll be the one to move things along. The Delta didn't come out of thin air, Counselor. And it didn't come from a syringe, either. Dr. Ashore was able to drip the poison right into his cup. Straight from the source. Shit. That's way too specific to be a bluff. Allow me to submit into evidence Exhibit G. A piece of machinery found in Dr. Ashore's laboratory. Sold under the product name Nanofacturer. I'm trying to figure out what this text says, if anything. I'm assuming it's Lord... No, it's literally just key smashes. Never mind. Oh, I know. This one. It's used in delicate scientific work to produce nanomachines, chemical compounds, and polymers. That's the same machine I saw when Dawes gave me a tour of the production floor. Very good, Your Honor. It's a valuable tool in any scientific laboratory, and Dr. Ashore was well acquainted with its use. As a matter of fact, he had a number of presets coded into him. Even the android can see where this is going. With just a few taps, he could reproduce any number of specific substances for his research. Or any other chemical his heart desired, really. You think Randolph Mechanics would allow their product to be used to produce illicit chemicals? Using the nanofacturer to make unlicensed drugs does go against their terms and conditions. So Dr. Ashore's warranty is certainly null and void. But they can't hard-code their machines to prevent the production of a drug that hasn't been invented yet. That's... Dr. Ashore died when his respiratory system failed because of a depressant overdose. For him, it would have been peaceful, like falling asleep. You see, he didn't need to commission a synthetic drug from some street vendor or order an exotic poison from overseas. He could produce Delta anytime, in the comfort of his own home. A quick and painless death, readily available in under a minute at the touch of a button. Specifically, preset 19. Damn. I thought I actually had something for a moment there, but I was playing into Emma's hand the whole entire time. As well as inside David Ashore's personal lab, presets on David's model history exist for a compound identical to the substance found in his bloodstream after his death. Hi, Emma. Seems like we're done with this witness, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am. But before we move on, perhaps we should take a moment and put together a timeline of events as we know them. Not for me, of course. Just in case someone else might need it. Simple enough. We know that Dr. Ashore left the parlor and went down to the basement at 7:36 p.m. That's where he got the whiskey. And the cups they drank from. The cameras show him returning to the parlor to drink with a witness at 7:40 p.m. And, of course, we know that he fell ill and passed away shortly thereafter. Any objections so far, Counselor? No, that's true. Not at this time, no. The timeline you've described is accurate, as we know it. As you say. With this latest piece of evidence, we now know that Ashore could have easily dispensed the poison directly into his cup. by placing it inside the Nanofacturer, activating the preset, and simply waiting 2 minutes. Easily accomplished during the 4 minutes he spent off camera from 7:36 to 7:40. Wouldn't you say? Ooh, a complete timeline of events. Big sippy. Hello. Hi. Have fun watching VOD. There's so much good gambling in it. Do cameras in the space where the Nanofacturer is? There should be. It's his lab. It's not. The basement is the only place that didn't have camera. Or, I mean, the panic room didn't have cameras. And the basement, I guess, doesn't have cameras either. But his lab should have cameras. It's in the main house. I mean, they said there's several rooms that didn't have cameras in them. I don't know. He had the means. He had the only opportunity. Seems like we're about ready to wrap up here. No? Hey. Where are we on that loading bar of yours, Sarah? I don't know, I had a feeling you'd say that. Well, counselor? Are we done here? Feels like we're missing at least one biggie here, folks. Namely, motive. Oh, right. I knew that. I wasn't getting excited to finish early or anything. This is a preliminary hearing, counselor. Our focus should be on the evidence, so... It just feels like an awful waste of taxpayer dollars to get us all down here for debate and not get to the truth of the matter, you know? So... Gambling, hello. I was hoping we wouldn't have to go through this next part. What are you talking about? Your Honor, if it pleases the court. Ooh, new evidence? Gimme! This is a recording of a phone conversation, dated at 6:30 p.m. last night, between the deceased and a man he was in a relationship with. A man named Isaac Porter. Porter and David's breakup call. Emma wants to present it here, now. The content must be... relevance, Your Honor? Yeah, that. What bearing does this recording have on the case at hand? It establishes what emotional state the deceased was in on the day he died. But I haven't thought about this yet, by the way. What the fuck is up with... I love Emma. What the fuck is up with her sweater that consists of both a collar and a mesh, like, cleavage window, and then the rest of the... Sorry. Just like... Baby girl. Cool. Begin playback. Hello? Always so soft-spoken. Isaac? You there? Yeah, I'm here. What's wrong? Dunno. Guess I wasn't expecting you to pick up. Why not? Did you mean to call me? Yeah, I did. You gonna ask me how I've been? Yeah. Have you been... Christ, David. What's the matter? Whatever it is, whatever I did, I'm sorry. Whatever you did? That's alright, man. I'm sure you are sorry. I don't want any more apologies from you. Okay. And I don't think I want anything from you. Anymore, David. What do you mean? I shouldn't have done this. This was unnecessary. My bad, man, for not taking the hints. With you, it's always better left unsaid, right? Emma's sweater is sort of nonsensical, but as a person who doesn't know how fashion works, I'm gonna suspend my disbelief on this one. More efficient that way, so you can keep working. New poll, what's up with Emma's sweater? Something else. Isaac, if I've been distant with you, or... Nah, you haven't been distant with me, or cold with me, or anything with me for a while now. Isaac. Just forget it, man. Forget I called. Forget it all. Yeah? Let's just forget we were ever anything but strangers. That's all we are now anyway. Isaac, recently I've been distracted, I know. Nah, don't worry about it. Really, we're good. Oh. Okay. So do you need anything, or should I... Where did you even get this? All of Dr. Ashore's incoming and outgoing phone calls were recorded by the building's penumbra system. Lovely self-Dokapon background. It's what I got! And the recording continued for several seconds after each call was ended, for quality assurance. Remind me to check the terms and conditions on my next phone bill. All phone calls received or made from inside the Noble Executive Apartment building that David Ashore lived in are automatically intercepted and recorded by the building's penumbra security system in line with Noble's data security best practices. Shall we hear the rest? Gotta be the last time. Last time I let someone... Last time. Father... It might just be a call, but it makes for pretty damning evidence at this point in the discussion. A phone call that took place between Isaac Porter and David Ashore from 6:29 to 6:36 p.m. on the night that David died. Isaac ended their relationship during the call. Because the call was received inside his home, it was automatically intercepted and recorded by the building's penumbra security system. Emma's got her means, opportunity, and motive all lined up. So why is she looking at me like that? That was depressing. Can we finish up without anything else that horrible? Emma's never been apologetic in victory. So does that mean this is just... pity? Less than 2 hours before David Ashore died, Isaac Porter ended their relationship. Over the phone. The court can make a reasonable assumption about what kind of mental state Dr. Ashore was in last night. That was a bad move, Miss Rockford. Then, if the people have nothing further to add... I've been feeling off my game all day. Caught between corporate inbreeders and ant-brained protesters and... But pitying me, here and now, that's all it takes to get my blood properly boiling. It's about time for me to call my first witness, no? You wanna keep going after that? What are you doing, counselor? Just calling the ultimate silver bullet, rock solid, slam dunk witness a girl could ask for. Is here good? Does it matter where I put my hands? Miss Starling, thank you for coming here today. Of course. Whatever I can do. What is your relation to the deceased? I was his executive assistant at Noble Electronics. I would arrange his meetings, coordinate communications between him and other departments, that sort of thing. Ultimate silver bullet? Starling's the only play I have right now. The only stalling tool I have left. For now, I should just focus on getting as much information from her as possible. Whether or not it's useful, it'll at least buy me some time. While Jess was being sworn in, Sarah mentioned that the hard drive's about 60% decrypted. Considering the rate Sarah's gone at so far, there's maybe another hour left. I might be able to stall that long. If I talk real slow. I'd like to ask you a few questions about Dr. Ashore. Please answer them to the best of your ability. Right. Dr. Ashore was a well-known public figure, but was he well regarded professionally? Of course. Dr. Ashore's work set the bar for the entire automated dependent world. Stay focused, Spearmint. You say you coordinated his communications. Were there ever threats? Did people ever express an intent to harm him? Objection, calls for speculation. Intent? I'm feeling like that's gonna be a sustained. Did anyone ever threaten him? There were times when he was the focus of negative attention. How so? Dr. Ashore was a favorite subject of many conspiracy theorists. With all his contributions to the field, it was easy for them to make claims about his influence. They'd say that his work was plagiarized, or that he was hiding illegal subcommands in the technology he helped develop. And people would contact him about these conspiracy theories. Relevance. Whether or not people wanted to kill him. Well, withdrawn. Miss Starling. People would attempt to contact him, yeah. But their messages were always too vague for the police to take action on. They would say that he belonged in jail, or that he couldn't avoid the truth, or that someone should do something to shut him up. Did they ever talk about hurting him? Yes. But, I always turn those messages straight over to the police. Yeah, I'm seeing that on the record. Yeesh. Who writes this stuff? All those cases have long since been resolved, Your Honor. And none of the parties involved have had contact with David Ashore in years. The police take harassment very seriously. Something you want to add, Counselor? It's just clearing my throat. May I continue? Jessica Starling testifies that David Ashore had experienced harassment and stalking from conspiracy theorists throughout his career at Noble. You worked with Dr. Ashore for many years. Did you have a relationship outside of work? Did you ever talk about anything besides professional concerns? Sure, we've gone out to dinner, or met on the weekends. I think you'd like to pick my brain. You need a relationship advice a lot. Even if he didn't realize that was what he was asking for. I'd like to think that he knew he could talk to me, but... Did he ever talk to you, or to your knowledge anyone else, about hurting himself? God, no, never. Do you know of any history he might have had with mental illness? Depression, anxiety? No. So when you heard the people argue that Dr. Ashore had done this to himself, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. You're saying that you can't believe. Objection. On what grounds? Asked and answered. Stalling. And also, the people have documents that would be of interest to the court in this matter. Juicy! And what matter specifically are you referring to? The deceased mental health history. Emma wouldn't be speaking up if she didn't have something real. So what the hell is this about? We have private correspondences that describe... If they're private, then they should not have been obtained by the people without his permission. He can't give permission if he's already dead, and we're well within our rights to obtain evidence as it pertains to his crime. Convincing! Big sippy. Damn. I didn't honestly expect to stop her from admitting her evidence of the record, but I was hoping to at least slow her. Where are you on that footage? 77%. Approximately. I need to buy whatever time I can, however I can, even if that means running out the clock as a punching bag. I have here messages between Dr. Ashore and a psychiatrist he was meeting with and speaking with for the past year, along with paperwork detailing how this treatment was covered under his platinum plan. Yep. He used to schedule and pay for psychiatric appointments from several occasions last year. Platinum? I don't intend to air all of Dr. Ashore's secrets here in the court. Oh. Okay. I guess. But I am prepared to read excerpts from messages and transcripts from phone calls, which, when put together, paints a clear picture of the kind of stress David Ashore was experiencing, and the dark thoughts he was struggling with. Transcripts of his phone calls. I'll admit them into evidence, assuming there are no objections. There's something weird about this. All the phone calls are recorded. I'll gladly object. On the grounds of foundation. What did you say you got this? It was retrieved from his digital records. There's no reason to doubt its authenticity. Even if I were to point out that David had an executive level 4 plan, not a platinum plan? What? Really? Really? Yes, really. It's all there in the record. This is easily explained. David had an executive plan that Noble managed for him. And he was also seeing this psychiatrist, both in person and over the phone. Your own witness has attested that he dealt with stalkers and was worried for his privacy. So it's easy enough to reason that he had a separate insurance plan that he paid for on his own, even if only to keep one thing out of Noble's grasp. Sure, easy enough to make that assumption, but that doesn't make it correct. David used a separate insurance to hide this psychiatrist from Noble's spying. No, he was smarter than that. Yeah, that's what I thought. All building calls are recorded by Noble. David may very well have wanted a private psychiatrist, someone who didn't work for Noble, who'd have his best interests at heart. But if so, he wouldn't have contacted them over the phone. Not when he knew all his phone calls were being recorded. David Ashore was well versed in having every aspect of his life overanalyzed by data-hungry parasites. Do you really think he would try to hide mental ill health problems from them with a second insurance policy? Apparently, yes, since I'm standing here with evidence that shows exactly that. Does it, though? Pardon me? Yeah, like, what exactly are you suggesting, counselor? Still not done decrypting? Well, it's difficult to... Right. What the hell? Might as well swing for the fences at this point. I'm not trying to muddle the issue or confuse the court, Your Honor. And I would never make outlandish, unsubstantiated claims just for the sake of causing drama. What are you... I'm merely concerned that D.A. Rockford has been an unwitting pawn in an act of corporate espionage. What? If the markets were to open Monday with people believing that David Ashore, the man who programmed the brain of every noble android, was battling mental health issues for the last several months. Objection? Mischaracterization? Foundation? All the rest? There are no corporate spies in this courtroom, counselor, and there are no boogeymen hiding under the bench. Oh, thank God. David Ashore was a once-in-a-generation intellect and an extremely valuable human asset to his employers. And his employer's many enemies would do whatever it takes to destroy his credibility now that he can't defend himself. And he was also your personal... You shouldn't even be here arguing this case in the first place, counselor. Now you're trying to call the police's evidence gathering into question? All because you can't admit that for the past several months your friend has been seeing a psychiatrist every Monday and you didn't know? That is... sorry, but, like, did you still need me up here? The witness will refrain from interrupting when girls are fighting. Yes, ma'am. With how my luck's been so far, Sarah's progress bar is probably moving backwards right about now. And Emma's patience is wearing thin. This could be my last shot to create any kind of reasonable doubt. Presidential alert. The girls are fighting. I'd be happy to wrap up my questioning, if the court will allow. That seems cool with me. And my evidence, Your Honor, will it be entered into the record? I'd like to hear a bit more testimony before deciding. The adjutant knows about Yuri. I believe it. That's fine, Your Honor. As you were, counselor. At this stage of the game, with the score where it's at, I can probably only ask one more question. Better make it count. So, what can Starling tell us that no one else could? If she hadn't called me this morning, I wouldn't be standing here, and she only did that because... Miss Starling, we're all gathered here to try and figure out what happened to Dr. Ashore last night. So please, tell us, when exactly did he last? I don't have anything about this, do I? I just gotta go with my gut. That's unfortunate. I don't believe in gut. When did... When did David Ashore last contact you? When was the last time you had contact with Dr. Ashore, Miss Starling? Well, that's pretty easy to figure out. Let me just... Yeah, it was last night at 6:57 p.m. We texted back and forth. There are records of some texts, but they're flagged as work-related. Does the court really think they're relevant, Your Honor? Relevant? I mean, that was like... Yeah, I think it's important. It could very well be the most important piece of evidence in this whole trial. What? Okay, as long as I win chips for that. I just got chills. Don't know why, though. Must be a coolant leak. The defense doesn't know what they're talking about. On the contrary, these texts are a vital piece of evidence that change the timeline of events as we know them. Text messages from David Ashore to Jessica Starling at 6:57 p.m. the night he died. David asked her to set up a meeting between the two of them and Evangeline Morgan on Tuesday to handle the transfer of ownership for the android Sarah. Yeah, and the timeline... He died an hour later. Not this one. Witness testimony. Arrived at 7:30. Okay. We know what happened to David last night, generally speaking, but the order of events is critical. Especially if Emma wants to make claims about David's state of mind. Right, when was that phone call? $6:36. Right. Drag cards from your hand onto the slots in chronological order, left to right. You can pick a card back up and place it in another slot if you change your mind, or drop it outside any slot to return it to your hand. Fill all the slots to submit your answer. Do I get to see this card? Oh. Right. 6:30. Isaac's call, Starling's texts, Young's testimony, David faints. Yes, that's it. Thanks to Miss Starling, we've now got a much clearer picture of the night's events. We know that Isaac Porter and David Ashore broke up at 6:30 p.m. And I was rooting for them so hard. And we know that David messaged his assistant, Miss Starling, at 6:57 p.m. David's on camera with the witness from 7:30 to 8 p.m. And he was declared dead not long after. The people don't object to that timeline of events, but we do question Counselor Morgan's reason for belaboring it. One last question, Miss Starling. Yeah? What was the nature of your conversation with Dr. Ashore? Well, actually, we talked about you. And how he wanted you to have his android. That android. There. Putting his affairs in order, I guess. It might appear that way. Can you specify what his instructions were, exactly? How did he want this done? Well, he wanted me to bring you to his penthouse and help you get set up as the android's new owner. Yes, Miss Starling, but when did he want this to happen? Well, he said he was pretty urgent, and so I should do it first thing Tuesday morning. Tuesday? First thing Tuesday morning. David Ashore didn't like doing anything on Mondays. And was he going to be in attendance? Well, actually, yes. He said he would work from home to help us. No way he intended for us to have that much trouble getting to... Oh. To summarize, then. Half an hour after he had already had his breakup and half an hour before his guest arrived, he was planning an appointment that would require his presence with you for next Tuesday. That's right, he was. Not something you would think to do if you were planning on dying that very night. Yeah, you're right. That's... Your Honor, if David Ashore was preparing for the week ahead a mere hour before he passed away, don't you think the people's assumptions about his mental state ought to be re-examined? That's... Your logic is sound. Do the people have a rebuttal? If the court will just allow a moment. Sounds like an opening to me. If we assume that Dr. Ashore was not suicidal and therefore did not kill himself, we must then ask ourselves who else had the means, motive, and opportunity to take his life. Until now, we've taken for granted this idea that the Delta must have come from his nanofacturer from inside the house. Adonai, not right now. But even if that's true, which it may not be, that doesn't mean that he was the one who used the nanofacturer. Adonai! Would you allow me one moment to confer, Your Honor? Sure. Why not throw away your momentum? I'm in the middle of something, Sarah. I can't afford to let Rockford... I've gained access to the hard drive's files. What? Seriously? As I said, progress with this type of encryption is exponential. It can be difficult to estimate... Oh, right, okay. Do you have the footage from last night? I have the file. Have you watched it? I thought you'd want to know right away. Suppose it doesn't matter. Either this has our silver bullet and we've got a case, or it doesn't and everything falls apart. That seems quite risky. It's the least risky path to victory we have. Seeing how it's the only path to victory we have. Screw it. Upload it to the court computer. Yes, Adonai. Thank you for your patience, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm awake. And I'm getting a pretty hefty chunk of video data for breakfast. You're submitting security footage into evidence? New security footage? The police corroborated the witness testimony using the house's cameras. Security cameras installed by Noble as part of the penumbra system that showed the parlor, the kitchen, but not the basement. During the course of my investigation, I discovered a hidden security circuit buried in the deceased's own home system. You... what? The people say that the Delta must have been in Dr. Ashore's cup because there's no other way for him to have ingested it. But we never saw him or anyone else put anything in his cup on camera. Because he must have poisoned his own drink off camera. Exactly. Well, that's the only possible explanation that he added the Delta to his drink off camera. He placed his cup inside the nanofacturer, activated it, waited 2 minutes, and then walked upstairs to his death. But I'm about to present to the court footage retrieved from his basement. Footage that will show that by the time he retrieved the cups in the basement, it was already past 7:38, meaning he didn't have the opportunity to poison himself. One clip of footage will prove all that? If it doesn't, I'm completely screwed. But it's not like I can lose a preliminary hearing extra hard. Anything other than a royal flush here means I'm bust. So, better to be the Joker who dances. The data has been entered into the court record. Sarah, show us when Dr. Ashore entered the basement. Yes, Adonai. I'll search for it now. Here. On screen. That's the bar, and the timestamp is 7:36. There. David spotted grabbing the bottle of Rose River and leaving. At 7:37. Just under the wire, as it were. Is that it, then? I came this far just to... Wait. Did he have the cups with him? Is there sound? None at all. Keep going. If he had to go back to get the cups. Counselor. What's that android doing on camera? Fuck. It's at the bar. I fucking knew it. 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 Was there a third person in the... I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I hate it here. I hate it here so bad. But Sarah killed him. The android gave him the cups. Shit. Shit. That machine never stepped on camera upstairs. Not once. We don't know its whereabouts the day of his death. It could have poisoned the cup whenever it wanted. Shit. Shit! What is this? I don't understand. Your Honor, have the courtroom cleared. Understood. Please, someone... I don't know what's going on. Sarah, you need to shut down. Please, tell me what I'm looking at. I don't remember any of that. Do we have callers available? Sarah, shut down now. Adonai, please, tell me what I... That's an order. Is it off? Yeah, it's off. I've seen this before. It won't do anything until I reactivate it. We don't know that. We don't know anything about this thing anymore. That's... Your Honor. In light of this most recent evidence, the people would like to withdraw their charges against Dr. Ashore and end this preliminary hearing. It has been made abundantly clear that David Ashore did not commit suicide. Very well. The charges are withdrawn, and the defendant is free to go. Well, as free as he can be in the afterlife. This case is dismissed. Congratulations, Counselor Morgan! Yay. Chalk up another victory for Morgan Esquire. Now all I have to do is deal with the shitstorm of the decade. Oh no! I fucking knew! I knew! David Ashore made an artificial intelligence. First of all, that's the first thing. Which is very illegal. Second of all, I don't think Sarah meant to kill him. I mean, like... Probably Sarah on camera meant to kill him. But, like... Fucking, I don't know. I feel as though... I don't know, man. My sweet baby child. You won. Congratulations on making it look like your robot killed your client. There's no such thing as a murderous android. Famously. Court is no longer in session. High roller mode. Dark blank screen. Hey, Emma. Emma, save me. Emma Rockford, save me. DA Emma Rockford, save me. Famously illegal. That's as good a place as any to end it, I feel. Ooh. Sarah. Oh, buddy. Oh, no. Sarah. You've oopsied your last daisy, girl. Emma Rockford is out for your blood, and by you, I mean Sarah. Emma Rockford, it's fine. Psychosexual Gary Corbin connection. Anyway. More of this on... Oh, what was my decision on whether I was gonna do Fridays or Saturdays? I don't remember. Saturday, I think? More of this on Saturday? Yes, more of this on Saturday. Where, there will be blood. There will be android blood. Yay! Maybe more Emma Rockford. Who knows? But I feel that I've gotten a sufficient dose of Emma Rockford for the time being. I just needed to see her and fight with her and have a good time. Just love, you know. It's important that they have their, like, weird... It's called oxidant. It turns pink. It's just important that they have their weird, like... They have their thing, you know? Their Ace Attorney time. And it's important for me to process this for 3 more business days. So, more on Saturday. I'll be looking forward to it. Catch me here at roughly the same time, 7 Central-ish, maybe, hopefully. Inshallah, my computer doesn't break again before that point, so I can be sure that I'll be here. But I believe that it won't break again, so I should be here. Hooray! Go process the fact that my daughter killed my bestie for a while. Fortunately, it's a new daughter, so I don't have to be that worried about it. And it's it's Morgan's bestie, so she can be, like, emotionally distant from it. That's what matters. It's a new daughter. Yeah, fresh from the nanoprinter. My old daughter had nothing to do with this. My old daughter needs to do her homework. Okay. Well... Good times, good crimes, great news all around. I will see you Saturday. All good, all ready to go. 3, 2,